You know, back in 2020, when Canon dropped the R5, it wasn't just another camera. It was a huge deal, a real landmark for mirrorless photography. A legend, really. And now, 4 years later, the successor is finally here. So let's dig in and see what 4 years of innovation actually gets you.
And that really brings us to the million-dollar question, right? Is this new Mark II just a small step up, an evolution, or is it a total revolution that makes you have to upgrade? That's what we're going to figure out.
Okay, first things first. Let's talk about how these cameras actually feel in your hands. We're going to look at the design, the ergonomics, the tale of the tape.
So you pick these two up, and honestly, what hits you right away is how similar they feel. I mean, you'd really be hard-pressed to tell them apart just by holding them. The Mark II is only about 5 millimeters thicker and, wait for it, just 8 grams heavier. So yeah, if you're upgrading, all that muscle memory you've built up, it's totally safe. It's going to feel just like home.
But if you look a little closer, you start to see some really smart, really welcome quality of life upgrades. The Mark II gets a dedicated switch to jump between photo and video modes. Now, if you're a hybrid shooter, you know what a big deal this is. It's a total game changer, seriously. No more digging through menus. Plus, you get this advanced hot shoe, which is basically an open door for a whole new world of smart accessories down the line.
Okay, that's the outside. Cool stuff, but let's get to the main event, the real reason we're here. What's under the hood? Because this is where the real power and performance upgrades live. And this right here is probably the single biggest difference, the biggest technological jump between these two cameras. The original R5 has a fantastic sensor, don't get me wrong, but the Mark II, it introduces a stacked CMOS sensor. So what in the world does that actually mean for the pictures you take? Okay, so the easiest way to think about it is like a highway. The new stacked design essentially adds a bunch more lanes. This lets all that data just fly off the sensor at absolutely incredible speeds. And this faster readout, this is the secret sauce. It's the key that unlocks so many of the Mark II's best features, like pretty much getting rid of rolling shutter. You know, that weird wobbly jello effect you get when you pan the camera too fast? And a direct result of all that speed? Well, it's this. The original R5 was no slouch, topping out at a very, very respectable 20 frames per second. But the Mark II, it cranks that up by 50%. Hitting a frankly blistering 30 frames per second. Now, if you're a sports photographer or wildlife photographer, you know that can be the difference between getting the shot and just almost getting it.
Yeah, let that sink in. 30, 45 megapixel images every single second. That is an insane amount of data. It just gives you this incredible power to freeze the absolute perfect moment of action without any guesswork. Now, when it comes to autofocus, both of these cameras share Canon's absolutely phenomenal dual-pixel AF2 system. It's amazing on both. But the Mark II brings back a feature that feels like it's straight out of science fiction. It's something Canon experimented with in their old film cameras, but now they've perfected it for the digital age: eye control autofocus. And believe me, it is just as cool as it sounds. It's almost like telepathic focusing. After a really quick calibration, you just look at your subject through the viewfinder, and the focus point instantly zips to wherever your eye is looking. It feels like absolute magic. It makes choosing your focus point so much faster, so much more intuitive than any joystick or touchscreen ever could. It's this wild connection between what you see and what the camera does.
All right, let's talk about something that might sound boring, but is actually one of the most practical, real-world upgrades you'll notice: battery life. The original R5 was rated for about 320 shots on a single charge. Pretty standard. But thanks to that more efficient stacked sensor, the Mark II nearly doubles that, hitting 620 shots. Now, what does that mean? It means you can probably get through a whole day of shooting with just 1, maybe 2 batteries instead of having your pockets stuffed with spares. That is a huge deal.
Both of these cameras have incredible in-body image stabilization, or IVIS. It's fantastic on the R5, but the Mark II just nudges it a little bit further. It goes from 8 stops of correction up to 8.5 stops. Now, I know that might sound like a tiny number, but that extra half stop just gives you that little bit more confidence to nail those super sharp handheld shots, even when you're dragging the shutter speed way down.
Okay, let's switch gears and talk about video. Because this is where the R5 Mark II takes on the biggest controversy, the single biggest complaint that haunted its legendary predecessor.
Yeah, if you were around for the R5's launch, you remember the headlines. It was all about this one issue. Its mind-blowing 8K video specs were kind of crippled by recording time limits because of overheating. For any serious video shooter, this was a massive, massive pain point.
And with the R5 Mark II, problem solved. Completely. The handcuffs are officially off. Thanks to way better heat management, the Mark II gives you unlimited recording time. For anyone shooting long-form content like interviews, events, you name it, this one change makes it a fundamentally more reliable and professional tool. No more watching the clock.
And you know what? Canon didn't just stop there. They went all in. The Mark II is absolutely packed with other pro video features. You get a proper, full-size HDMI port, a little tally light so you and your subject know you're actually recording. You get waveform displays to nail your exposure, and even lens breathing correction, which stops the frame from shifting around when you pull focus. It's crystal clear that this camera was built from the ground up for hybrid creators.
So, after all of that, we get to the final round. The judges' scorecard is in, and the big question is still there. Which one of these amazing cameras is the right one for you?
All right, let's make this really simple. The original R5 is, and let's be clear, still a phenomenal camera. You should go for the R5 if you're mainly a stills photographer, if 20 frames per second is plenty of speed for what you do, and, if you want to get that pro-grade image quality while saving a good chunk of change. But you should absolutely choose the R5 Mark II if you are a working professional who needs that rock-solid, unlimited video. You need it if you're shooting fast action where 30 frames per second is non-negotiable, and if you just want the absolute bleeding edge of tech, like that eye control AF and that incredible battery life.
Look, at the end of the day, both of these are just incredible, sophisticated tools. The R5 is the proven legend, the workhorse. The R5 Mark II is the new kid on the block with all the cutting-edge tech. The real question isn't just about which spec sheet is better. It's about which one of these tools is going to best help you tell your stories. So the tool is chosen. Now, what story will you tell?